Oh, there's the tap. Wow, Shavkat Rakhmonov still undefeated.
From labeling Shavkat's latest call-out of Kelvin Gastelum wimpy and stupid to questioning the 28-year-old's motive for wanting to take this particular matchup, Chael Sonnen was not happy with Rakhmonov's call-out at all. For starters, he thinks it was more of a suggestion. UFC veteran Kelvin Gastelum recently made his return to the octagon back at UFC 287, where he put on a brilliant display of fighting, earning a unanimous decision victory over Chris Curtis. Believe it or not, it was such an intense matchup that both fighters ended up receiving the Performance of the Night award. Just a couple of weeks after the event, Kelvin announced he'd be moving down a division to compete at welterweight again. It surprised everyone, but Shavkat was probably the most excited about it. He immediately responded to the announcement, tweeting whether he should be the one to welcome back Gastelum to the division. But that's when Chael Sonnen lost his cool. He blasted the undefeated mixed martial artist for such a weak and wimpy call-out, and when you think about it, Sonnen's right about it being more of a question than a call-out, because Rakhmonov tagged UFC President Uncle Dana as well, in the hopes to get permission to entertain the former TUF winner. But why exactly is Chael making this such a big deal? I mean, this isn't the first time fight fans have seen a lighthearted and respectful call-out. So, why the hostility, Sonnen? Well, the American gangster thinks the call-out has absolutely no conviction at all, and Rakhmonov doesn't even know whether he wants this fight or not. The only reason he did it was to get attention and possibly accelerate his well-deserved shot at the welterweight title. But yeah, that's why Sonnen was so pissed at the call-out. He thinks it's a shame for Rakhmonov to be 17-0 and still have to ask for a fight. Well, sorry to say, even though Chael went pretty hard at the Kazakh mixed martial artist, he's talking a lot of sense right now. When you've dominated the game like Rakhmonov has, you definitely don't need to be going around asking for fights. Or look at it this way, he's asking Gastelum and the boss to think about the matchup. That's not exactly a call-out, but it's more of a suggestion. And the only thing Sonnen is trying to say is, he doesn't need to let people do the thinking. He's one of the mightiest fighters in the division. All he needs to do is make the decisions and issue the call-outs. Anyone with a shred of intelligence will jump onto the fight because they know it's the one to make. Plus, before you think the American gangster was throwing shade at the 28-year-old, let me clear things up. He's basically trying to remind Shavkat that he's the prize in this whole situation. It's not Gastelum who will be doing him a favor by taking the fight, it's actually him that's making Kelvin's move to welterweight all the more exciting. So yeah, it kind of makes sense now why Sonnen would slam the 28-year-old for this wimpy call-out. And oh, did you know that this is actually his first call-out ever? And I don't really know if it qualifies as one, but I do agree he could have done a better job at it. Either way, if it does actually end up happening, Sonnen believes it's the perfect matchup for both gentlemen. This isn't exactly the first time Gastelum will be fighting at welterweight. He actually competed in that division for 3 long years, from 2013 to 2016, taking on and defeating some huge names like Johnny Hendricks, Uriah Hall, and Nate Marquardt. Rakhmonov, on the other hand, is probably a fight or two away from a shot at the title. I mean, being 17-0 in your professional MMA career is nothing less than extraordinary. That's pretty much some Habib energy right there. But yeah, back to the matchup. The reason why Chael thinks it's such a good fight is simple. It's a fight between experience and dominance. Kelvin's a UFC veteran who might not have titles to his name, but he's starred in some of the bloodiest and toughest fights I've ever seen. The guy has a heart of a lion, and no matter the opponent, he's always put on a performance inside the octagon. Shavkat, who's never experienced a loss in his entire career, has all the momentum in the world, and because of his perfect record, he has a habit of coming in strong and hot. So if this fight does indeed end up getting scheduled, it'll be interesting to see whether both fighters make any adjustments to their game. Is Rakhmonov still going to come out super explosive considering his opponent is now a UFC veteran? Or are we going to see him try to dominate Gastelum as well? Besides, is Kelvin even interested in fighting such a hungry and ambitious opponent? I'm serious. Gastelum's been fighting forever. He's gone through the entire middleweight roster, and even if we go back a couple of years, he's fought plenty of top-ranked guys during his time at welterweight as well. So you gotta ask a question here. Does he still have the same ambition? What's he exactly trying to do? Does he want to become a champion again? Or is this all just a personal challenge for him? Because look, even if Gastelum moves down a weight class, getting a victory or two won't exactly earn him a title shot because that division is packed with competition. If Khamzat doesn't move up to middleweight, he's next in line. Then you have Shavkat. Kamaru Usman is also there, and also Colby Covington. How many guys is he going to fight to claim gold? That is, if he wants it, I mean. Shavkat, though, has made it obvious he wants the title. And if you go off what Sonnen is saying, the guy's literally a fight away from it. Plus, remember how I was talking about why Sonnen thinks this is the perfect matchup? Well, despite the call-out being wimpy, it was actually a pretty smart one. And I'll get to that in a bit, but did Rakhmonov just fool the entire fighting world? I mean, he still hasn't broken character by calling anyone out. He's usually been the anyone, anytime, anywhere kind of guy so far. And even this time around, like Sonnen said, it wasn't a call-out, it was more of a suggestion. But he's got everyone talking now, and that's exactly what he wanted. Not everyone has the same talent to attract attention like the Irishman or Adesanya. Some fighters just aren't that vocal, but when you're in the fight business, that can actually be a disadvantage since there's not enough hype to sell events. And judging from what fight fans have seen so far, as exciting as Shavkat is inside the octagon, he's not too good at selling fights. But this tweet? It's gotten him the attention he deserves because people are actually talking about him now. Sonnen is talking about him. Other fighters are thinking about how he'd fare against a UFC veteran. It's all coming together for him. But despite the rise in popularity, there's a lot of skepticism on whether Gastelum will actually accept this fight. I mean, he's just been so confused ever since he returned to the promotion. He's been changing his targets every month, like back in April 2023. He talked about wanting a rematch against Adesanya to win back the middleweight title. And not so long after that, he shifted his target and started talking about wanting to smash du Plessis. Out of nowhere now, he's decided to get absolutely shredded and move down a weight class to take on some new competition. Sonnen thinks it's a bit all over the place for him right now, and it might just be possible he doesn't know what he wants, because Shavkat's motives are clear. He wants this fight because it's his ticket to the finale. Remember I was telling you how the 28-year-old is just a fight away from the welterweight title? Well, regardless of who he fights now, I think it's become impossible for the entire division to continue ignoring him. A fighter with a perfect record of 17-0. He's bound to get in scuffles with the big boys now. And speaking of that wimpy call-out, Sonnen said it's actually a strategy to get an immediate shot at the welterweight. See, since it's a battle between hunger and experience, if Rakhmonov is able to shut down a UFC legend who's been at it for decades, there's just no way anyone can deny him a shot at the title. So whether the call-out was more of a question, or suggestive, or wimpy, or stupid, it doesn't matter because it's gotten him exactly what he wanted. The ball is pretty much in Dana's court now because Shavkat's got people talking, and if he still doesn't get a fight against a big name, it's going to become a real issue for the boss. But yeah, from deceiving the entire fight world with a surprisingly gentle call-out to the American gangster calling it wimpy and stupid. That's everything Sonnen had to say about Shavkat's latest call-out.